Salve YouTube, and welcome to another Total War Rome 2 online multiplayer battle. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a battle that I had against my opponent, a Alfio97.fr. He's going to use the Iceni and I'm going to use the Athenians, and this is beta patch 4. So in beta patch 4, Slingers are pretty much overpowered, and you're going to see how this is going to be demonstrated in this fight in several places. Hoplites are a little bit more viable because infantry across the board got attack nerfs. Shock cavalry is very potent now because the shock on the cav has now been increased greatly. So even a unit like the Hippopoeus Lancers for Athens can now come in and do devastating charges to both infantry and cavalry units, even noble horse and noble riders. So things are a little bit hectic now. I would like to see Slingers get addressed a little bit. I would like to see quick reload get nerfed a little bit, because at the moment things are a little bit crazy. So of course I'm recording this after the fact of it happened, because the replay system is still bugged. This is a pretty map, nice and snowy, and I'll just take this opportunity to talk to you guys about the new Scan Invitational tournament. This is going to be a tournament that's going to be for a lot of famous YouTubers, so look out for that. I'm not sure if all the information has been released yet, but it's going to be a very interesting tournament. I'm not sure how much I can reveal yet, but I'm going to tease you guys a little bit and stay posted to kind of see what's going to happen and how it's going to play out. So let's talk a little bit about this army and this battle in particular, regardless of patch 4 or patch 3. This army is a very modular army. You can see that I have 3 units of these Rhodian Slingers forming my skirmish base, very powerful skirmish base. They have 5 Thuros spears, and the reason I have those 5 Thuros spears is because those Thuros spears have rapid advance, and they have decent armor and decent defensive stats, and they will actually hold against even elite infantry units now in the beta patch 4 for about 2 minutes. So that is long enough for you to be able to do anything you want to do with your cavalry or even your skirmish, to kind of go around and start getting some killer shots from the sides. I'm supported by 2 citizen cavalry and 5 units of Hippopoeus Lancers. Now you might ask, okay, well, charge has been increased a lot. Why would you bring citizen cav? They're not really that fast anyway. Well, the reason is citizen cav have received a HP boost. They now have 85 HP, and with that HP, citizen cav can actually absorb a lot of good charges from units that are like melee cav. So for example, an Iceni cavalry, like a barbarian rider or a noble rider, I'm not sure what it's called, or maybe an Athens companion cavalry. If they engage the citizen cav will do very well to absorb that charge, to give your shock cav time to go around the flank and do the damage to win the cav fight, because winning the cav fight in this type of army is very important. My infantry base is not designed in any way or form to be able to tackle my opponent's infantry. They're only meant to help me kite and to help me hold positions of vulnerability for my opponent, where I can then come in quickly with my shock cavalry that hopefully has been victorious in the cav fight, and then that would be it. So this army is very powerful, very modular, and we're going to see how we can use it here. So here's my opponent. He's playing with 1 unit of these artillery. I'm not sure. I think they're heavy onagers. He has 4 Iceni Slingers, I believe, and then he has 4 spear nobles and 4 spear band. But we'll look at his army a little bit here. I guess I'm showing myself, or the recording, or you guys, where I think the range of his artillery is going to be, but his artillery actually doesn't end up being a very big factor in this game. So I'm just moving across here, and we'll get some close-ups here in a little bit. And now I want to look at his army. So I'm looking at his army. I'm like, okay, he has a noble riders general. He has 4 spear band, chosen spear band, 4 of these sword chosen swords. Sword masters. And I'm like, wait a minute, 4 slingers. Let's see, that doesn't add up. There has to be 2 or 3 other hidden cav units, and you can see here I'm typing at least two cav hidden, maybe. So the army's missing. It doesn't look complete. So I'm going to be very careful here when approaching, and I'm showing now where I think cav could be hidden. So it's probably going to be in one of the forests that I just highlighted here. So this army, it has a very strong cav component and a very strong skirmish component. Its infantry, as I said, is a holding force and cover and retreat kind of army. One unit would happily sacrifice itself and stand in one spot to allow the rest of the army to maneuver around and get better shots and get better charges. Because the real edge of this formation and this army is its skirmish and its shock cav. So I'm moving forward here, cautiously through the trees. I don't want to expose anything, and obviously this is, I'd like to call this the first phase of the battle. This is the scouting phase. Here's some cool close-ups for you guys. The scouting phase is the phase where you're looking into the fog. You know, you're looking out there, you're trying to figure out what your opponent's composition is, and you don't have a good idea of how they're going to be approaching you. So this is a very important phase, because if you've got hidden units, they can be a huge factor in the battle, obviously, later. And even if you have skirmish units that are allowed to go into certain positions or certain places, that might affect the main battle hugely. So it's very important to use this phase to kind of discover and explore the terrain, but you got to do it fast, because you only got 20 minutes, which I think is something that really should be addressed. I don't think 20 minutes is enough for a lot of skirmish based armies to be able to do their thing. 30 minutes I think would be a much better choice. Anyway, so I'm moving forward here, and the scouting phase, what I'm trying to find out is, okay, does my opponent have cav if it's hidden? And if he doesn't, I guess then that's really easier for me, because he doesn't have a lot of cav. And my cav, seen here, the Hippopoeus Lancers, and joined by the Citizen cav, can pretty much just help my skirmishers. Because when my skirmishers start skirmishing with his skirmishers, these guys can come in to quick raids. They're not very heavily armed, as you can see. I think they're considered medium cavalry, the Citizen cav. So here we are, I'm moving forward, and my opponent is being very static. He is changing his formation a little bit, forming echelons and V's and defensive lines here and there. So, you know, he's doing his thing. And notice how I'm still kind of keeping my main cav force kind of close to my center. I don't want my right flank here to get too isolated to the right, because if he did have cav on that far flank and I got a little bit too close, he might be able to get a clean charge on my guys. So now we're moving out slowly out of the scouting phase. I'm still in it, actually. I'm still moving forward. My opponent still doesn't know that I have those cav units on the left there. So it's mixed for both of us, but the only difference is that I am making the initiative here and he's being stationary. Now sometimes that can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. It can be a bad thing if you want to have hidden units. Obviously you don't want to be trying to take the initiative. You want to kind of maybe draw your opponent in at a certain angle. But in my case here, I'm taking the initiative because I'm very happy with my army, and I'm very happy with my army versus what I see of my opponent's army. So what I see of my opponent's army right now is a lot of infantry, not very many skirmishers. I've got more skirmishers that are better quality, and I've got a lot of cav that can run units down that flee and smash into units that are being pelted by these rocks. So things are looking great. The only bad thing that could happen is if my opponent has like 3 noble horrors or something like that in reserve, then I would have to kind of deplete my cavalry in order to deal with that. And here we go, you can see in the forest we start seeing some cavalry, and before we see this cavalry, I'm maybe thinking, okay, maybe I should engage his skirmisher line a little bit with a sweep, but I see the cav. Now ends the scout phase, because now, for me at least, because now for me, I know exactly what my opponent has. I know exactly what kind of composition he's brought to this battle, and therefore I know exactly how I am going to be addressing this situation. And as you can see, I'm instantly moving my units forward, instantly taking the initiative, because this is the time to strike. Now my opponent is, I guess, could be psychologically a little bit weak. Maybe he'll make some bad decisions, try to win some little victories here and there, because all that he has now been exposed, and both I and him know that my army is better than his, and he is going to make a mistake. He pulls his cav away from his main body, which allows me to sneak one of my citizen cavalry forward. But now here you're going to see a little bit of why I think Slingers are a little bit overpowered in this patch. Look at this unit of Hippopoeus Lancers. It just came a little bit close to these Slingers, and it has gone down almost completely in number, and it is indeed going to get ratted off the battlefield with just one or two volleys from those guys. So yeah, Slingers need to be fixed, but I managed to get a really good charge here at this artillery unit, which hadn't fired anything, and I'm pretty sure most of my guys are actually in range at the moment for that thing to be firing at it. And if not, I guess my opponent could have been wanting me to get a little bit closer, so that if I did realize that I was in range, I would start retreating, and then he would be able to get maybe a second volley off or whatever. Maybe he was thinking like that. Maybe I just wasn't in range. But in any case, I just wanted to rid myself of that sort of pesty unit of artillery. And with that out of the way, sure, I'm probably going to lose a citizen cav, and one of my Hippopoeus Lancers got too close to his Slingers, but I've got 6 units of cav total. Okay, maybe I'm gonna have 5 after one of them dies. He says goof, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's trying to self-discipline himself or something. So now I know everything that my opponent has, and I'm just gonna start moving forward. See, I'm even breaking formation. And I just need to do one thing now. I need to make sure that I kite at sort of local positions or local vicinities where the advantage is to me. Now, obviously, I have more numbers. People, I mean, some guys may be like, oh, what, GD, why don't you just go forward and engage his units? Well, I could do that, but there are a lot of infantry troops. Like, there are a lot of sword units, there are a lot of spear units that can beat my infantry troops. And sure, I'm gonna hold most of them off with my guys, but the remaining ones that are gonna be free to go around and do flanking, I need to target those with my Slingers. So my Slingers need to have this fight and win this skirmish with minimal losses. So I need to do this very carefully. And the way I'm going to do this is that I'm going to try to use my cav a little bit around my opponent to distract him. Maybe force his skirmishers out just a little bit, so that my citizen cavalry there at the back can help me win the skirmish fight with a well-executed charge. So I'm going to approach his line at an angle from 2 locations and head on from 1 location. And you're going to see my opponent commit a huge mistake here. If you are a player with range and you're sitting and you want your opponent to come towards you so you get the first volley, this is what you need to do. You stay stationary completely. You don't issue an attack order. And this is what my opponent is going to do here. Look at this. I'm getting closer and closer. And here I'm going to issue some attack orders as well on my 3rd control group over there on the right. And I watch how my opponent is going to commit a mistake that's going to be detrimental to him. But this is very crucial. This skirmish phase is very important. And look, see? Now he could have been firing at me, but no. He's going to click an attack order because he thought that my left flank was vulnerable. But in reality, it's not. I can just run back, and now I have him out of position. Look at how his Slingers have moved further away from his line, because I'm pulling all of my forces back and he's not bringing his infantry line forward. This is the time to spring. I stop all of the retreat and I launch it into a counterattack. And this is what skirmishing is really about. It's about knowing when to run and knowing when to engage, and you always want to engage your opponent when they're either stopping to reload or when they're on the move away from you or maybe even towards you. You never want the case to be where, you know, your opponent is getting a little bit too close. So like here, for example, watch, my opponent is issuing attack orders, he's coming in here, and look, I'm still bringing my hoplites up with my skirmishers, because at any moment now his cav could attack me, right? My hoplites need to be close to my skirmishers at all times. The same cannot be said for my opponent's units. And here I'm just gonna do I'm gonna spam orders here at a narrow formation that's gonna bring my cav nicely together, and then I'm gonna spread them back out, and that's gonna help me to catch those skirmishers before they go into the line. Even if I do lose that citizen cavalry, my skirmishers have the pretty much won the skirmish fight, and this really ends the skirmish phase of the battle. And you're gonna see my opponent here moving to try and launch counterattacks with his infantry groups. Here they are. They're going to start coming out one after the other. So I won the scout phase, if you like to call it that, by discovering my opponent's hidden units. I won the skirmish with pretty much minimal losses, which is what I planned. And now I need to go into defensive mode. I've taken 2 initiatives, and my opponent is now at a loss. He is at a disadvantage. He is pressed to attack me, and look how I throw my citizen cav here. I'm throwing them away to slow down his attack while I give my guys time to fall back and to split my opponents forward. Split my opponents into groups forward. While he is actually going to be split forward. So you can see here he's sending units left, right, center, and my job here is to just keep on my micro, and this is very difficult. I have to make sure that my opponent doesn't catch me at all. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to use my hoplites in a good way. And the first thing I think about is, okay, I need to send most of my cav to one flank and then the rest of my cav to another flank. That way, I can maybe win one side of the battlefield very decisively. And if, you know, the other flank doesn't go so bad, I have a cav unit there in reserve. So I'm doing this. I'm pulling my guys to the right. I'm falling back on all fronts. Skirmishers are stopping and shooting in some places, running back and retreating in other places, and the hoplites haven't even used their rapid advance. And here we go. And I'm gonna need to use rapid advance here to get out of it just in time. And I managed to get out just in time. I'm running out. He's sending his cavalry in the middle. And now I have to stop here. And look, I'm gonna run with one, and I'm gonna stop with the other. And this is why I needed a lot of skirmishers, because if I didn't have a lot of skirmishers, doing this retreat kind of thing wouldn't work. Here I'm gonna pop my phalanxes on the right, and my cav is now far enough to the right, and my opponent just drops the game. So some of you guys might be like, okay, well, he dropped the game, why did you post the game? Well, there are some things to be learned, and the reason my opponent dropped the game there was just because he had lost that battle. Even if he caught all my infantry, I still have more cav, I still had all my skirmishers, and even if he killed some of my skirmishers, my infantry would have helped, and I still would have had more skirmishers to be able to come in and finish him off. So the point I'm trying to bring across here is that if you can divide the battle up into little smaller battles that you can win for yourself, it'll be easier for you to go forward. So for me, I made a little kind of scout phase. I went out not with my entire army, just little select unit, my cheapest cav, supported with a little bit of Hippopoeus lancers. Went out there, looked a little bit, saw what he had. I had a full picture, and I knew from the beginning that my basic army was a little bit better than his. And then I somehow managed to win another smaller battle, sending my citizen cavalry. After they're done with their scouting roles, they went on to another role. My units were always active, my main army always moving forward. If all of your units are always doing something to reach a goal, then you're probably going to end up winning the battle. So that's why I wanted to show you guys this video, just to bring you a little bit closer into at least my thought process, and the way I think really successful players' thought process should be, and that you should be trying to be kind of aware of everything at the same time, but obviously that is very apparent don't need me to tell you that, but I think what is not so apparent is, thinking of the battle as a series of mini battles that you can win or that you have to win in order to kind of, sway the balance bar in your favor. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Total War Rome 2 Online Battles. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.